devastation of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neil, and I'm joined by John Rain, Debra Lamb.
Hello.
Hello. And Violet Hatch.
Hi.
Hello. The good people of Vampire Penance, The Atonement of John Wolfe. That's very cool. So can you give us an idea, John, of what this movie is going to be?
What it's about?
Yeah.
It's a vampire story. It's a unique twist on a vampire story. It deals with a lot of elements that I brought into the story that have been developed over the last 3.5 years. There's a lot of real history in the film, and it's kind of a big. It's gotten really big. The story started out 20 some years ago when I wrote it the first time, and it was called Evergreen is the Blood. And I actually filmed it over COVID, and I didn't like it. I didn't like the way that it was going. So we decided to revamp, and I said, either we're going to go big with this production or we're going to go home. So I've spent 3.5 years putting this film together to get it to this stage right now.
So, you started writing it over 20 years ago. You filmed it, didn't like it. And now, putting all this. So it's a very personal movie to you.
It's a passion. It's a passion of mine for this film. I've been in low budget indie films for 35 years, but I've been in entertainment my whole life. And I just recently turned 64, backside of 65. And I've decided that, I really want a legacy left behind. I got tired of doing these, what I call bubblegum horror films. So this film is big. I don't want to compare myself to Star Wars, but it is Star Wars in a vampire story. It's a trilogy, and we start in the middle, and it's a very bold presentation. It's very different.
Well, I'll ask more about that in a minute, but I do want to ask Violet, how did you get involved? And if people don't know, Violet plays the lead vampire.
Actually, we met somebody at Still City Con a few years ago, and she actually messaged me one morning and she talked to me about it, and then she sent me over to John, and then me and John talked for a good almost an hour, and he was explaining everything to me, and then we did the screen testing, and here I am.
And John, what made Violet right for the role?
Well, I'm going to tell you what actually happened was we were filming a screen test, and we were flying in some actors, and the actress that I wanted to play Ivory, which I'd spoken with for quite some time, was a beautiful, talented young lady. We couldn't get her here, and there was concerns that during filming we might have the same problems. So at that point, I told her I was looking for a replacement. And that's when I was introduced to Violet. And like she said, I talked with her for quite a while on the phone. And she's just a vibrant, lovely young lady that, immediately struck me as, wow, she could definitely visually fit this role. And I put her into it. We shot the screen test with her, and I fell in love with her. And she's now Ivory.
And this is your first movie, Violet. Do you have a background in acting?
No, I don't. Besides other from like goofing off on TikTok and making content on there, no.
So, are you what's the feeling like to be your first time acting, and it's a feature film, and possibly a trilogy?
It's nerve-wracking. Not gonna lie. I am nervous, but at the same time excited. So
she did absolutely great for her first time behind the camera when we did the screen test. And that was a big screen test. I mean, we put a lot of money into that screen test. And I remember her coming down. We got her in the makeup and the dress, and we fitted her with some teeth. And we walked her to her positions. And she was really nervous. And I said, just be a vampire. And after the cameras rolled, she became a vampire.
And Debra, how did you get involved? And were you involved back when John was making it, the previous version?
Actually, I was. I wasn't involved in the making of the film that it was before. The title that it was, the original title was Evergreen is the Blood. I wasn't part of that film. Actually, there was talk with me and John did have a discussion about me being in that film, but I passed on that. And then when he went to, he literally revamped the film with a new title, and the story became much bigger. I mean, really big, like epically big. And so I was a part of Vampire Penance before it was even Vampire Penance. So yes, I was a part of it at the very, very beginning. And when it was Evergreen is the Blood, John talked to me about perhaps being the lead vampire. And that was what I wasn't so into being a vampire. I wanted to be a vampire hunter. So then when he was writing the script for Vampire Penance, this script has gone through several rewrites, or not rewrites, but drafts, I should say. And so my character was brought to life as Shotgun. So I've been Shotgun, for a long time. And I'm just so excited that we're actually finally filming this thing.
Yeah. And can you tell us about your character, Shotgun?
Yes. So I am there's another character in the film named Billy. So I'm the mentor of Billy. Now, there's been different Billies that have been attached to this film. So in one version, I'm a mentor, and another version, I'm the aunt. So I think did I become an aunt? Am I the aunt now?
Yes.
John? Yeah, so I'm the aunt now. So but I mentor this younger person, a younger version of someone who'll be a potential Shotgun when she cuts her teeth. I keep using those little puns. See what I did there?
Yeah.
She cuts her teeth, is becoming a vampire hunter. But I'm the old I'm the OG of the vampire hunters. Oh, but we have another even bigger, whoops, sorry about that. We have another bigger, more experienced vampire hunter that comes into the scene, who is played by Kieran Davis, and the character is Killian. So Killian comes to town.
Killian McIntosh. Yeah.
Yes, helps us get control over our vampire problem.
John, when you said it was a trilogy, so and it starts in the middle, would the idea then to be the sequel and the prequel?
Yeah, I'd like to clarify when we started writing this. Like I said, I was an independent, low-budget film producer, so I was used to writing for virtually no budget, and I decided at that point in time that we had something here. There was something to this story when it was Evergreen is the Blood. There was something there. There were underlying factors to it. And I decided that I just wanted to flush this whole thing out. So little by little, you got to remember, this was like 3.5 years in development. And people, today are still looking at me like, you haven't got this film made yet? And I say to those people, we're in good company, because the good films with major studios take 7 years, 8 years, 10 years. So this film, I don't know, it became an entity. It just kept adding to itself, and I kept rolling with that. And more and more I delved into it, I found interesting things that I don't believe anybody else has ever wandered into, which led me to a very good friend of mine by the name of Harry Sheehanwolf, who is a professor of history out of Vermont. He's retired now. And I went to him and I said, look, I got all these concepts. I'm not a history major, but I'd like to be able to tie all these elements into this film. And he said, without hesitation, I'm on board. What are we doing? So this film takes on history from right back to the beginning of Christ's crucifixion in the year 34, travels up to about 400 BC, and then travels through right up until now. And then we're going to take it from here and go back again to Ireland, where we're going to film the sequel and the prequel. About the crowdfunder, we had started that under some different guises with some other producers, so we had to follow through with it. So we're gonna honor all that stuff that was in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're moving forward without crowdfunding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Violet, I'm sorry to what kind of vampire movies, or I know this is a different take on vampires, but what kind of vampires like are you into, and have you watched to kind of prepare for the role?
I've always been into like Lost Boys, Interview with a Vampire, any type of vampires really. I've watched them, seen them all. I've seen my fair share of like different ideas people have had with them. So like I've basically just been rewatching all of them just to get similar ideas and basically try to, mimic or get myself just physically prepared for everything. So.
And I saw on your Facebook, you do a lot of makeup yourself, like at conventions and stuff. So will you be doing any makeup on this movie for yourself?
Possibly, yes.
Or maybe that's more of a question for John.
Well, actually, no, she won't be.
Okay.
we have Steve Tolan from Tolan FX that's coming on board. He's handling all of that for us. Violet may be touching up makeup after she gets into it herself. I don't know what Steve's going to do, but Steve, I don't know if you're familiar with Steve Tolan or not. He did.
I might know him, just not by name. So yeah.
Yeah, he did the Jack Reacher.
Okay,
movie.
yeah, definitely.
He did Batman: Dark Knight Rising. He's been on quite a few big,
yeah, it's big stuff. Yeah,
productions. He's right out of Pittsburgh, so we've talked quite a few times, and he's very excited to get involved with this project.
And I asked Violet about vampires for her role. What kind of vampire stories were you into, John?
Gee, you know what? I feel so odd when people ask me this because I wasn't into anything. I would watch a film, but I never really got into anything. Like, I have a very good friend of mine, Schultze, who's also the master of arms on all of my sets. And he can tell you everything about science fiction movies. He's an encyclopedia, walking encyclopedia. I have another friend that can tell me everything about horror movies, but I'm not that guy. I never really got into it. I was entertainment based and didn't fall into film till later on. So everything that I developed, I have to say, wasn't really inspired, but created as I made it.
Well, it says when you got someone involved to write some of the more historic stuff, is that some inspiration, like the biblical stuff and the non-fictional stuff?
Well, I stumbled into that by accident, and once I dove into that, I'll tell you how I stumbled into that. I was trying to find some connection to recreate vampire lore in the Western United States. That's what I was looking to do, because everybody's got a vampire story. And I stumbled onto the Bible where it was talking about Longinus. I don't know if you know who Longinus is. Longinus was the Imperial Roman guard who was ordered by the general to pierce Christ's side while he was on the cross. And that struck me odd for some reason to follow Longinus. So the more I delved into Longinus, the more I got intrigued by it. Longinus was of poor eyesight. And when Christ was on the cross and he pierced him, the blood, because Christ was up on the cross for so long and sloping down, sprayed all over his face and immediately cured his eyesight. Longinus knew something was up at that point. So there were quite a few stories that were never written biblically about him, but there was a couple of stories which went on to say that Longinus later in privacy licked the blade of that sword or that spear, which became known as the Lance of Destiny, thinking it would give him some sort of immortal powers. God seen this and cursed him to walk the earth for the rest of his days in total darkness and to only survive on the blood of the living. And I said, oh my God, that's a vampire. That's the very first father of vampirism right there. So that's what got me started on it. And that's why I went down that road.
Oh, that's really interesting. And I like the idea of including historic stuff in something that's like fantasy I think it adds some realism to it. And I think you can buy into the vampire stuff if there's, some basis of a historic evidence.
Exactly, Neil. And that's what I wanted. I wanted loopholes that weren't really covered, that we could dive down those rabbit holes, recreate it ourselves, and there's no proof of anything except other than what the history said about it. For instance, when we move forward from the crucifixion, we move forward to Attila the Hun. Attila the Hun, I have found out, died on his wedding night with his fifth wife and hemorrhaged from the nose, the ears, and the mouth with blood, mysteriously. So I tied that all into the story and made some things happen with him. And after Attila died, the tribes of the Hunnic Empire broke up into many different tribes. And those tribes were all ruled by separate kings. So I created Kumbush, who was the nephew of Attila that overseen one of his tribes. And there's no way to disprove that because all the tribes were so many, history didn't follow them all. So Kumbush becomes my lead vampire in this story.
Oh, wow. And who's playing? Did you mention earlier who is playing Kim Bush?
We had a couple of people in mind, and like I said, I've changed the roles, I've changed things. It's still, some of the things are still in development now, and how we're going to flush out some things to make it even bigger. Because when we started this, we had very little budget, and now our budget's grown, where we can actually, write for a bigger budget, and that's what I'm doing right now. So there is a couple of people that we are definitely talking to right now for the lead male vampire, and whoever gets that role is going to have, a very iconic role.
And Debra, now you've been on the show many times, and a lot of movies recently. You also, help produce. Are you involved in the production of the movie?
I am actually. I am a producer on this.
I didn't want to just say just actor because that makes it seem like I'm saying like
right.
there's like that's not good enough or something.
Right. No, I've been involved on that level from the very beginning, but then somewhere along the line, we talked about making it like you are officially a producer on this film but I mean I've been helping out behind the scenes from the very start. But it's official.
Yeah. So
Deborah's kept me on track many times in the 3.5 years that I've been doing this. Because there's so many times I wanted to take my ball and just go home. And, she wouldn't let me do it.
Yes, and then he got a good talking to.
Well, it's good to have someone like that on board because I understand that feeling. Sometimes these movies get overwhelming, and you're like, "Why am I even doing this?" And,
yeah, and it was hard because we had major studios that we were talking with. I mean, I've talked to some big people behind the scenes on this film. We even had negotiations with Johnny Depp through Jack Wingham's office on this production. And I've talked with 5 major studios. 3 of them wanted to come in and buy the production out from underneath me. And they offered me a substantial sum. And for a moment, I thought about it and decided not to. Yeah.
What was the reason not to? Just because this is the thing you want to make?
Well, in all honesty, I was looking at selling because of my age. Like I said, I'm on the backside of 65. I've been in this a long time. I own property over in the Philippines. My wife's Filipino. We were thinking about just retiring and sipping Mai Tais over there. And I knew if I sold it out, I would have no say over it at that point, none. They would recast everybody. They would bastardize the script. They would make it into Hollywood. And this was something that I've already spent 3.5 years on. And it's kind of like my final hurrah to make this film happen, not only for myself, but for a lot of people that got involved with me. So I grit my teeth and I said, no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, he got a really good talking to a couple of
Yeah, I
times.
did. I got scolded. Not only by her, but my wife. Yeah.
And Viola, like we said, it's your first movie. So what have you been doing to prepare to act in your first film?
Just physically, been trying to work on my emotions better and channeling because whenever how I feel, whenever I always like make my content or anything like that, it's about body language too that matches the energy to make it look better and seem more, real and believable. So I've been trying to work on making sure that I can get all my emotions down, switch my emotions quickly, and just physically prepare myself for whatever's thrown at me.
Why don't you tell them why? Because my vampires do not talk.
Mm.
There's no dialogue.
So yes, I want to make sure that I get the emotions even in my eyes, facial expressions, body language, everything. So that way you just know the second you see it.
Well, let me jump in real quick because I wanted to say that Violet is going to be surrounded by seasoned actors. So, and of course, we're all going to be there to support you. And, you're going to be in a very loving atmosphere. So that, any fear that you might have or nerves you might get, we'll all be there to support you and help you out. And yeah, so she's going to do terrific. I know because, for one, I talk to John all the time, and so he thinks very highly of you, and so do I. And you're just going to be really, really great.
Not only of her husband Charles, what we
Yep.
call him Chuck. And I fell in love with him
Yeah.
too. She's just got a wonderful family, and Chuck and I hit it off. And I'm going to put Chuck in there, and also as one of the vampires, because there's a horde of vampires, and he's like 6'4", right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a pretty big boy, and just a wonderful, wonderful human being. So I think it's all coming together very nicely.
Yeah. I also throw us out there.
There's a lot of happy accidents involved in bringing this film to where it is now. A lot of serendipitous moments.
Yeah.
And a lot of the thing of this production has been through many stages. It's been through a handful of different producers coming on board, and they always have their own idea of how things should be done. But they've come and they've gone, and John with his team is still standing. And yeah, and having Violet coming on board was another just serendipitous event. I mean, we were so sorry to lose our other actress, but happy to have Violet.
Yes, very much so.
And Viola, you said you make content online. Is that like did you say it was on TikTok or YouTube or?
Yes, TikTok mainly.
And so this is something big for independent film. Will you use that to help promote the movie?
I have been, yes,
okay.
but my views have been horrible at the moment, but I've definitely been reaching out the best ways that I can.
Well, maybe both can help each other. The movie will help the views will help the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, this film is going to do quite something for your viewership.
Oh yes.
And you mentioned I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you. John, you mentioned You mentioned who's doing the makeup. Who's doing the effects? And is it a gore heavy film? I assume there's a lot of blood since it's a
Steve
vampire
Cullen
movie.
is doing everything from makeup to special effects, and yeah, I'm doing a lot of practical effects. Very little CGI. There's a company I'm working with out of California that Steve's familiar with, and we are going to have a couple of intertwined collaborations between practical and CGI. But I'm trying to keep that CGI at a bare minimum because I'm a big practical guy.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
old
most
school.
horror fans are, and
Yeah.
CG I think is best used to like enhance something or cover up certain things.
Well, yeah, there's a transformation of the vampire into the vampire creature, the more demonic creature. So there's going to be a little CGI for the manipulation of that crossover when you see him actually transform, and then it'll be into full practical makeup, which I think will be great.
And what kind of like because horror movies are all, you can have a comedy horror like Creep Show or a serious horror. What kind of like vibe is Vampire Penance?
This is Indiana Jones meets the Da Vinci Code with vampires. It's an high octane adventure movie, not just a horror film. There's elements of horror in it, but like I said, it's it's going to make you stop and think. It's going to make you question what you see and could that have possibly happened? And that's what I'm really after. I'm looking at a Mary Shelley Frankenstein. I want a classic. I want something that's going to stand the test of time, and we definitely got that in this film.
Debra, you said you got in the production side of this movie. What was it about this movie specifically that wanted you to like? This is something I'd like to help create.
Well, like I said, I've been a part of it before it really even existed. And
How
so
did you meet John to
oh,
begin with?
how did I meet John? Well, I met John just on his own merit of being a really good filmmaker. I saw his film, Finding Purpose: The Road to Redemption. It was, coming up a lot on Facebook, and I started following him, and we ended up chatting in Messenger, and introducing ourselves to each other, and started having conversations about all sorts of different things, and just over the years became, we ended up becoming very close friends, and we're like family now. And my husband Eric and I have talked to John, and John's wife, Winnie. We're all very close, and so there was no defining line between getting involved in the film and becoming a producer. It just always was. And like I said, since I was a part of the whole thing from the very beginning, and then our close friendship, I was always giving my opinions about things, about actors, about production, about this, about that. John always brought me in on really every step of the way through the film, to who's involved, who, people, like I said, people come and gone from this film, and producers that, perhaps were going to bring certain things to the table, and then those things did not come to pass, and then those particular people, went away, and then we got new people involved in the same thing over and over again. And like John was saying, at one point, the potential for Johnny Depp coming aboard was actually a real potential. Boy, that was really an exciting moment. Thinking that Johnny Depp could actually be a part of our film, that was very exciting.
I
And
lost most of my hair over that deal.
and just all throughout all the procedures. And so I've always been a privy to information that most people did not know about. So I've been a producer all along without us having the discussion of well, are you a producer? Oh, do you want to be a producer? You know, I just always kind of was. And then at some point, it finally did get actually spoken about, like, well, you know, yeah, you're a producer. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay.
We just never thought of it that way because she's
Yeah,
like family to us. So when we
yeah,
talk about it, like,
yeah,
oh yeah, you're a producer. Yeah.
yeah, you're right. That
Yeah.
it came up finally one time, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess I am a producer. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
But I didn't get the vampire question. I want to tell you my favorite.
okay, Deborah, what are
Yeah.
your favorite vampires?
I love Near Dark. That's my
Oh,
favorite.
that's a great
It's
answer.
my
Yeah.
very favorite one. That is my top favorite one. And the reason why I love that particular one the most is because, and of course I love, oh God, I can't even think, the Lost Boys. Yeah, of course I love that one. But Near Dark is my favorite because they never say the word vampire. Nobody is saying to anybody else, these are vampires. They just were. And that was a little different. And then the lead actress, Jennifer Wright. I think her name's Jenny Wright. And she was brilliant. And of course, Bill Pullman and all, you know,
Yeah.
everybody.
Command Center. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and it's a classic. Oh my gosh. I just love it so much. But the thing I love about Vampire Penance is it's so different. Well, Near Dark was also different. That's
Yeah,
why I
very
liked
different
it.
movie.
It wasn't your typical, and I do like vampire films
Mhm.
mostly, you know, overall. But the thing about Vampire Penance is the historical connections and the realism to the story. You know, it's more like, well, it's like John said, it's like an action adventure film, really. You know, the lead character is an archaeologist and is a professor, and the all the biblical stuff. Um, it's more drama, and Violet's character Ivy is the focus isn't really on the fact that she's a vampire. It's, well, I mean, it is, but she's a vampire, but the title, you know, Vampire Penance, because she is, I don't want to give any spoilers away, but there's redemption in this film. There's the idea that, and you could, you know, say this about any drama or crime thriller, you know, a lot of times the bad guy is the good guy. The bad guy's the hero.
Yeah,
And
the
so,
anti-hero.
and thank you, anti-hero. You're right. So, you know, in a sense, Violet's character is the anti-hero. You know, she's going through some real things. And Violet, you mentioned, you know, getting control of your emotions. Well, or whatever you said about your emotions. You know, this character goes through quite a bit, a whole plethora of emotions. The character arc on this is brilliant, and so Violet's got her work cut out for her, but she's up to it. She's going to do
Yeah.
an amazing job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I see the picture on your Facebook page, and Violet has like very dark eyes for Ivory, almost like black eyes. Will that have you actually worn those contacts yet, or
Oh yeah, I wear them every time.
okay? And how does that affect how you get the emotion across? Since there's your character doesn't have dialogue.
No, they actually, I've been wearing them and like practicing in them too to get the facial expressions down correctly. It's a little bit challenging, but it can be done.
Yeah. If you go and you watch the screen test that we did, and that was one of the reasons we did that screen test, because I wanted to see how we could pull the emotions out. And you see this young lady here, Violet, uh, become this fierce, feeding incarnation of a demon, suddenly soften when she feels that she's betrayed the guy that tried to help her. So she's experiencing things that's confusing to her. because humans were just cattle, something to survive off of. And that's another thing that I wanted to bring forth. What is a vampire? Vampires were human at one point. So are they a possessed soul? Are they a demonic entity? Are they a lost soul? What are they? And this movie delves into that with the question of redemption for the human side of a vampire.
Interesting. And you mentioned, different locations. So this first one, is it filmed all in the United States?
Yeah, we're filming mostly and I'm pretty sure we're going to stay right here in Pennsylvania for most of this. We have locations where we can blow things up, and we're burning some things down, and we have this theater which hasn't been used for 30 some years, and we've gotten that where we can lease and go in there, and that theater. When you see this theater, it's an entity within itself. It is the
Well, old
lair of
theaters have a
vampire.
lot of character to them. Old movie theaters, yeah.
Yeah, it's a wonderful place to start, and then we're going to take the prequel and the sequel directly back to Ireland, where we have three castles over there that we're going to be using, and we actually have a Hunnic village and a Viking village with 75 trained swordsmen, which are stuntmen that we're combining to put all this together. So it's going to be a fascinating story.
And not to get ahead of yourself, but how do you plan on releasing the movie? So like a festival run, or do you hope to just, how
We
would you like to release them?
we can't really talk too much about that because of we have distribution talks already in place.
Hmm.
We have a major distributor which they already have the right to first refusal on the film. So once we get underway and we start showing the progression of that film, if they pick it up, it'll be a theatrical release.
Oh, that would be amazing. So I also want to mention some other people involved. Sandy Johnson, former guest on the show from the original Halloween. That's very cool. And
Yeah, Sandy's another a very good friend of mine.
oh, cool.
We also have Bishop Stevens. We have Mike Ferguson.
Also a former guest on the show.
Yeah, Mike and I have known each other for almost 4 years, and I've watched him grow as an actor. And I was originally going to put him in as just a ruffian in a bar scene. And after we progressed to where we're at, I told him, I says, Mike, you need to be bigger in this film. Would you like to do this? And can we do this? And he was all on board for that. I even let him name his own character. I said, what do you want to be called? And he came up with a name immediately, which was Duke, because he wanted to do something along the John Wayne lines.
That's exactly what I thought. I thought maybe that was a connection.
Yeah. So, yeah, I can't wait to work with him. And then we met, got another girl by the name of Catherine Pope, another young talent. And she came to us through Lexi Angelino. And I met her in a phone conversation, and she read for me and just blew me away. For a young girl to take the business so seriously, most even seasoned actors, when they read for me, they'll have the script in front of them. This girl was prepared, man. She had everything memorized. She had emotions down. She had a character outline of what she was going to project. And she had a very touching backstory that gripped my heart. And I knew right then and there that I was going to get this girl on board.
And when you said Mike, became a bigger part of the movie, that kind of came up on when we had him on the show. Was he has a certain look, so that gets his foot in the door. But he knew to, like, if he wanted longevity in movies, or even to have more than just he's the thug, became a better actor, and he studied acting and improved as an actor.
Yeah, like I said, I've watched him grow. And you're right, he has a certain look. But I want to take his look and make him the likable character, the hero character. along with Shotgun, along with Bishop Stephen. Think of them as the A-team vampire hunters. You know.
And don't forget the Killian character.
Oh yeah, Kieran's
Kieran.
been. Yeah, I've been in talks with Kieran's for as long as I've been in talks with you, and I can't see doing this film without him. He adds so much international flavor to the film.
Yeah, Kieran's Irish. I think not
Irish.
all of our listeners will know who Kieran is, but he's an Irish actor, but he works in London all the time. He's there. He travels around all the time. In fact, he's shooting a film right now that I'm going to be in, because in a month my husband and I are taking a nice little vacation we'll be in London and Paris. But while I'm in London, it just works out that I'll be able to shoot my scenes with him there in London, where the original plan was I was going to go to have John Rain shoot my scene for his film with John Rain. But now, since I'm actually going to London, I get to shoot with him in person. So that's going to be really cool.
Oh, awesome.
And we've also been doing a lot of his overlays and digital effects and stuff for him with gunfire and stuff through Polestar Pictures. I've also done some model building for him with flying saucers and stuff. So we've got a relationship.
John is an amazing model builder. He built a bunch of models, well, at least a few models for his film Finding Purpose: A Road to Redemption, and you will not ever know. You won't know that these are models. You just can't tell. They're so detailed. And then for a while he was building a bunch, which he is actually sold, a bunch of models, and we would be chatting while he was building these models. It was just really relaxing watching him, glue things, and just incredible, amazing.
It was a hobby of mine. I've always been artistic. I did a lot of prosthetic stuff in my younger days, and just kind of spilled over into model making. I like models, and I like them to look accurate as hell. So I thought, well, let's incorporate these into the film. If we need a bar and we can't get into a bar, or we need to blow that bar up in an exterior shot, let's build it. And so that's what I did.
But what's really cool for Vampire Penance is he has a building that he gets to blow up.
Yes, I do.
A real building, not one of his
He
yeah.
Yeah.
Violet, do you want to be on? I assume you want to be there when the building blows up.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
Oh, she will be. Yeah, she's part of that scene. Yeah.
But when you blow up a building, I assume there's added pressure to make sure you get that shot, because we can't do take two when you blow up a building.
Well, actually, we can.
All right. What do I know?
It's a combination of miniature actual architecture.
Mm-hmm.
So we're building everything in 1/6 scale, so it's quite big. And then we're using forced perspectives for some of the outside shots. But yeah, it's going to look very, very convincing.
But you have an actual building that you get to.
Well, we're setting it on fire, but it's
fire.
not
Okay.
The building itself.
Okay.
What we're doing is we're attaching parts to that building, which we will hook up with propane, and it'll look like it's catching on fire. And
okay.
Yeah.
Have you worked with a lot of stuff like that before in any of your movies? Fire and explosions?
Oh yeah. And it was a learning experience along the way. We did some war scenes in Finding Purpose: The Road to Redemption, which was originally wrote about the Vietnam War, but we moved it up to the Bosnia War. And there was some Bosnia conflicts where we had to have these big explosions from these RPGs going off. And I had real soldiers that, were involved in that, and also served in the military. Schultze being one of them, who's our master of arms on all of my movies. And they knew what these things look like. So when we go and we were putting together the explosions, they were like, no, doesn't look like that. Doesn't sound like that. Doesn't look like that. So we had to research it. And I had some friends in Hollywood that actually made what they call flat packs that they use on these explosions. and they walked us through it, and we made them and went down and set them off, and they were like, "Oh yeah, that's it." You could see the excitement in their face. That's what it looks like. So yeah, we've had a lot of fun with that stuff.
Yeah. And you mentioned like some of the videos that are out there. Where can people go to watch those?
To be honest with you, I don't know. I know they're on digital platforms. I leased everything that I had that I wanted out there to Bayview. So Bayview picked those up. I know. I think they're on
Amazon.
Tubi. Where?
Amazon. You're on Amazon.
Amazon, Tubi. I know Barnes and Nobles is selling some of our stuff there. Walmart. It's not just digital platforms; they're selling hard copies and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how about, do you have I've seen the screen test, but are they out there available for people to watch for Vampire Penance?
The screen test?
Yeah.
They were up while we were doing the indie campaign, and I think you
Well,
can go to Polestar Pictures also and see
yeah,
them.
you have the footage that you shot
Yeah.
a few months ago,
Awesome.
Don.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's up on www.polestarpictures.com.
I'll link them right in here for everyone so they can check
Yeah.
them out. And where can people go to see, as things progress, how the movie, how things that are going on with the movie as it goes on, you get more cast.
Well, we're doing that through social media, and we're also be listing things at Polestar Pictures. Yeah.
Well, it's very exciting, and it would be cool to talk more with you, as things go on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. When we start filming, it'd be cool to have you do a call in. We do something live while we're on set.
Ooh,
Yeah, we can do that.
that would be fun.
Yeah.
Or maybe you could come down and be on set.
Yeah, if we could figure it out, I would love to. I've been to Pennsylvania a few times. I was telling John beforehand, my grandparents were originally from Pennsylvania, and I used to go down there every year to visit my great grandparents in Pennsylvania.
And you're in Massachusetts, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're not that far away. You can
No,
take
it's
a
like
little
6
road trip.
hours from Boston, I think. Well, depending where you are in Pennsylvania, but we'll figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, in the meantime, where can people follow you, Violet Hatch, so we can get the views up on your TikTok?
Just X Goddess X. That's
What is
pretty
it?
much X Goddess X. It's GODEZ. Literally my
Okay.
gamer
Yeah, I
tag.
would not have known
Oh,
that.
It's my
okay.
gamer tag, so I've been using it ever since for my platforms.
Well, Neil will put it in the.
Yeah, I'll put the link in there so people can check
right.
it out. Yeah. Do you still what's involved on your live streams or I don't know if they live streams or their content?
There is live streams. I haven't gone live actually yet on that platform because it's easily to get banned, just like the slightest little thing. So I don't go live on there often, but I just do my cosplays and then promoting Vampire
I was
Penance.
banned on TikTok too, and I have no idea why. And there was nothing I could do. It gave me no recourse to fight it. They completely washed everything away, and I have no idea why. So
Yeah,
Wow.
that's how they've been lately. I mean, I've had friends.
And I don't
fellow
post anything
cosplayers.
weird on there, honestly. It's just clips of interviews. So.
Yeah, I've had cosplayers get banned on their live streams just for showing a little bit of fake blood, and just because their kid came in the screen for like 2 seconds and they got banned and weren't allowed to go live again. So the slightest little things that they'll get you for.
And Violet's on Facebook and Instagram.
Yes, I am.
They look up Violet Hatch.
Yep,
Find
that's pretty much it for my Facebook and Instagram, because my Instagram is actually linked to my Facebook. So.
All right.
We're on Facebook under John Rain, Polestar Pictures, and Vampire Penance Fan Club.
All right.
Yeah.
And Debra Lamb's everywhere.
Yes, she is.
Well, but I'm not on TikTok and I'm not on X. I'm just on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah.
I have a LinkedIn account, but I don't do. Oh, there she is.
Yeah.
We lost you for a second, Violet.
My internet's been crazy.
I have a LinkedIn account, but I never post anything on LinkedIn. I'm just on
the
there.
Same way. I have it, and I don't know why I don't know. I don't know if it's useful or what, but it gets to be there's so many platforms. I have to narrow them down, or else I'll do nothing but post everything.
That's why I got off of X. I'm just I can't possibly be on social media any more than I already am. So I had to get rid of something because it's just too much. But yeah, I'm easy to find. Debra Lamb or the Debra Lamb on Instagram, you know.
Yeah. And Debra's great. You're very friendly and supportive, and you're just all around a
She's the
good
real deal.
person.
She's a
Yeah.
true blue person.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
always
I
promoting
do.
any kind of event she's a part of, any kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
anything she's Go on, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I love supporting anything that I'm a part of, because if I'm a part of something, you know that I really believe in it, because to be honest, I really don't. I turn down quite a few offers. If it's not something that I really want to do, I don't do any role for the money. Um, I just have to really want to do that role, believe in the film. I will go long periods of time without working because I'd rather work. I'd rather not work than work on something that I feel I'm just doing it for a paycheck. I just don't do that. So you know that if I'm a part of something, I'm going to promote it because it's something that I wanted to do, you know, that I believed in, and I felt connected to the character, you know. So for John Rain, my other friend Todd, and the other film I'm a producer on, Shadows of the Night, and Finding Nicole, it's doing amazingly well in the film festival circuit, winning awards left and right and left and right. Oh, like every other day, it's won another award, and I'm so proud because okay, I'll mention it. I won a Best Supporting Actress award
Oh,
for my
congratulations.
role. Thank you. In Finding Nicole. So yeah, and then plus, you know, I love my fellow creatives, you know, like John and Violet here, and I can't wait to work on this movie. It's just everyone that's in it, and there's of course John's going to be adding more to the cast. So, but everybody who's in it so far, and the crew are amazing. So it's
Yeah,
going to be.
my crew's been with me here in Pennsylvania for over 10 years
Yeah.
on every film that we did. So I got to give a shout out to my good friend Tom Stoops, who's going to be the assistant director on this film. James Schultz, but we call him Schultz. He's the master of arms, and he's also takes care of all of our set dressings, that sort of thing. And we have Deb Dunkerley, that's our prop superintendent, and of course Ed McIntosh, who's our production supervisor. And like I said, these guys are very, very devoted to Polestar Pictures, and they're just amazing people. It's family when we go on set. And then my wife too. I gotta say, my wife, who does all the catering, and I think she's the most loved on set, because as soon as she comes on with the food, nobody pays attention to me. They just run towards the food carts. So.
Well, I don't blame them. I mean, not that's not a knock on you. I mean, you know, food's good.
Go ahead, knock me. She does all the time, so I'm good with that.
All right. Well, it's always great to talk with you, Debra, and it was nice
Thank
to
you.
meet John and Violet. And I
nice to
look
meet you
forward
too.
to finding out more about the movie and seeing it eventually.
Thank you
Thanks.
very
Thanks.
much, Neil.
Thank
That's a
you.
great
Of course.
program you got here, man.
Well, I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. You're
It
a
is.
superstar. This is one of the biggest podcast shows. And I know most of your people are mainly in the horror genre or related genres.
Yeah.
But this, you know, without your head, I mean, this is you're big time, man.
Well, I appreciate that. I'll just say I agree with you. So
We're not worthy.
Yeah, we're not worthy. So thank you so much for having us on your
of course,
Thank
anytime,
you.
you're always welcome.
Thanks a lot, Neil.
Thank you. All
Thank
right.
you.
Thanks.